Good evening, sir. It was a wonderful feeling to attend the seminar on the changing face of the Indian banking sector in the UK. Indian banks really do not figure in the international list of recognized banks which people really talk about. You mentioned that in your seminar speech. What I want to know is, you also said that we have a long way to go. A lot of things need to be done. A lot of homework needs to be done. So what is being done in that direction?
You see, what happens that most of the, when you say internationally recognized banks, so they all come from strong economies. And as the domestic economy grows, the size of the banks grows and they get internationally recognized. And time to time that league table, it keeps on changing. There was a time when all the major banks, it was the US banks which were dominating. Then Japanese banks started dominating. And now they don't appear in that list of top banks. So now the Chinese banks have started emerging in the top league tables. So similarly, what happens that as the Indian economy grows and the size of Indian banking grows, so they will start appearing in the top league and will get more recognition. But it's still, State Bank of India is still the 64th largest bank internationally and is a well-recognized name. But yes, it is not as recognized maybe say HSBC or a Citibank. So when I said there is a long way to go, it means a lot of investment will be required in the geographies outside India which are operating, and that would mean putting technology in place, putting human resources in place, creating the infrastructure, branding, marketing, upscaling, and risk management practices. So a lot of groundwork is going in that direction, and a lot of work still needs to be done.
One of the businessmen who was attending the seminar, he mentioned that when it comes to buying euros and dollars, it is very tough dealing with Indian banks. But when it comes to Indian rupees, it's very easy. So is there a kind of a vacuum that you notice there, you know, in terms of getting a competitive edge over the international banks? How do you look to attend these problems?
What happens that competitive advantage comes with the scale also. So when it comes to Indian rupee market, obviously we have a competitive edge and we are able to provide the best pricing and very quick service. But when it comes to other currencies, so we are not definitely a major player, because in a US market, US dollar market, US banks would be the major player. For a pound sterling, it will be the UK banks which will be the major player. Similarly in India, we would be the major player in our domestic currency, which is the Indian rupee. So I don't think that immediately that scale will come up. We have to depend on our correspondent banks for doing this kind of business. And so that limitation will remain unless the scales and volumes grow, and which will be taking some time before that happens.
Bank clearing is still a very big issue with the Indian banks as compared to the English banks. How is that being dealt with?
We have tied up with one of the largest clearer banks in UK, but I don't see an issue around that clearing. I don't think any customer is suffering because we are not a member of the clearing house. So the way the clearing market operates here, there are certain 5 or 6 clearers, and you have to use services of one of the clearers. But as far as the payment directives and regulations are concerned, they are equally applicable to us. So if a high street bank has to afford credit in 2 days, so we are also supposed to do it the same way, and that is the arrangement with the main clearing banks. So I don't see an issue around that.
And just a last question that I have from you, that you mentioned the cost of operations is very low. How do you intend getting all the things that are needed for the bank to have a competitive edge? Along with that, making sure that the cost of operations still remain as competitive as they are at the moment, because you take pride in that. So how are you going to balance that?
No, one, it comes from the business mix. So what has happened that the retail, it is of course a high cost affair, and it consumes a lot of resources. So our business model is that our dependence on corporate business is much more. So today 80% of our business is from large corporates, which is a very profitable business line. And what happens that because we have a steady stream of income from these corporates, so our cost to income ratio is low, and in terms of our remuneration policies, so they are not ridiculous, as has been the case with some of the competitors.
Well, thank you so much, sir. It was wonderful speaking to you.